Horsforth was first mentioned in the Domesday Book of 1086. Its inhabitants then could never have imagined that 1,000 years later their community would have grown into the town of 22,000 people that we know today. But some things haven't changed. The town's boundary is still defined by the river and its becks. Nor has the sense of belonging been lost. The community is more active today than it ever was, and all these different groups make Horsforth a very special place to live. Now let's meet them and look back at what happened in 2005. Although not given to the people of Horsforth until 1932, the park is very much the focal point of the town's life. People come here to walk their dogs and have a chat on a crisp morning. Further over, the Parks Department is extending the skate park, a project part funded by Horsforth's Leeds City councillors. Later in the month, it will be surfaced and new equipment installed. The park is not the only place people come to play sport. On Crag Hill Recreation Ground, St Margaret's team plays football most Sunday mornings during the year. But it's not all young people and sport. Down at St James's Parish Centre, the Horsforth Live at Home scheme organises a bacon butty club every Tuesday lunchtime. It's a great place for people to meet for a chat. Later on, there is dancing. Over 350 older people in Horsforth are members, and the scheme offers a wide variety of events every week. It was established in 1996 by the Methodist Homes for the Aged, and it's run from offices at Central Chapel. Additional funding comes from Leeds Social Services, the Lottery and Horsforth Churches Together. The scheme, covering just Horsforth, aims to make it easier for older people to live independently and to meet socially. It has its own minibus to take members to its weekly events and also to trips further afield. We'll be seeing another activity of theirs later in the year. People in Horsforth still look out for one another, and Horsforth Town Council presents annual awards to those who do what comes naturally to them. This year, Jean Douglas received a certificate after she was nominated by her neighbours for the help she had given them over the years.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
A much larger enterprise that will bring people together is the opening of the rebuilt Grove Community Centre off Town Street. On Saturday, the 22nd of January, a dedication service was held in the chapel and the community centre was officially opened by 98-year-old Poppy Busfield. She wasn't born in Horsforth, but just across the valley in Pudsey in 1906. She went to school as a part-timer, half a day at school and the other half working in the mill. This is the first opportunity people have had to look round the new centre, and it's due to become a popular meeting point, as we shall see. Another new centre was also officially opened at the beginning of the year, a new e-learning centre at Horsforth School. It's named the John Brodwell Centre in honour of the former chairman of both the Town Council and the School Board of Governors, who died suddenly in 2004. The centre forms part of a new two-storey extension that also accommodates new sports changing facilities. Much coursework is delivered online, and students can work in year groups on one of the 50 or so computers here. There are also 4 classrooms with 26 computers in each. In these, students can research information that can then be shared with the class. The centre took about a year to rebuild. It's just one of many schemes going on around the town. On New Roadside, flats were built on the site of a former petrol station. A smaller complex was built on Horsforth Road, and another on Low Lane, this time on the site of a former office block. Incredibly, this small site by the railway station was developed into a 4-storey block of flats. Apart from train spotters, you might wonder who'd want to live right next to the railway line. Some people also think that the size and choice of materials are quite out of keeping with the area. These were small schemes compared to the corn mill development on Low Lane. The mill itself, built around 1780, is a Grade 2 listed building and was last in use in the mid-19th century. 120 apartments were built on the site, although the mill, the centrepiece of the site, has not yet been redeveloped. Off Town Street, St Margaret's School has been completely renovated. The Victorian buildings have been retained, but anything built in the last 30 years or so has been demolished to make way for a 2-storey extension. The work started in August 2004 and has been completed for the autumn term this year, 2005. During the last academic year, the children have been taught in temporary buildings in the grounds of Horsforth School. Across the road from the school, the caretaker's house behind the Mechanics Institute was demolished to make way for a new extension. The library is to vacate its current premises, built in 1975, and transfer back into the Mechanics Institute, where it was originally founded.
I love coming to the library because I love reading books, and I want a children's festival because there's puppets, clowns and jugglers and everything else.
Heavy snowfalls affected the town this month, but the snow was too wet for sledging, although these boys did try to make an igloo. The early nights also led to some atmospheric twilights. This is Springfield Farm off West End Lane, seen from Lee Lane West. This view from St Margaret's Church Tower shows Morrison's. The company has made a number of planning applications to redevelop the store. These include taking over the Conservative Club's bowling green and part of the club's premises as well. The plans were rejected, as it was judged the character and materials proposed were out of keeping with a conservation area. It may be a surprise to some people to know that the current Morrison's buildings do have aesthetic qualities. The church plays a central role in the community. The Mothers' Union is holding a jumble sale in St Margaret's Hall. Stand by for the surge of rummagers coming through the door. And yes, tempers do get frayed.
It's just that one.
Like many established groups in Horsforth, the average age of members is creeping up and new members are urgently needed. At the other end of the age range, St James's Cubs, who meet in the scout hut by the church, are having a special evening. They're bringing in their pets. Some seem glad to meet one another. Some just a little bit more reticent. And yes, there's always one attention seeker. Young people also meet at the Stanhope Centre, where youth clubs are run on various times during the week. Here they can meet and socialise, as well as getting involved in activities such as the Duke of Edinburgh's Awards scheme. A lottery grant of £16,000 has been received by the Town Council to put on an event to commemorate the end of World War II in 1945. As part of that, a book is being produced consisting of interviews with people who lived in the town during the war years.
I think I would be in it, because I would be a ranger, you see. I would probably carry him the flag. Knowing me, I think I would be.
We pushed the trek cart round Horsforth and we collected jam jars. We went all round it, we're knocking on people's doors. I must have pushed that trek cart for miles. There was a glass shortage, you see, there was no glass for the home market. And these were all steam sterilised, and Morehouses bought them. And I think we raised about 400 quid. A lot of money in those days, you know.
This wasn't the only book about Horsforth produced during the year. The local historian Alistair Lawrence, who now lives in Norway, looked at the original Drovers Bridge that spanned the wharf at Newley. The book also includes recreations of Horsforth scenes over the centuries by Anthony Law, who lives in Exeter. When the local round table disbanded in the mid-1980s, the money in the accounts was used to purchase a minibus for older people, and the Horsforth Minibus Trust Fund was formed as a result. The fund is now onto its third minibus, with a larger replacement due in early 2006. The minibus is out and about just about every day. On Fridays, it picks up older people from their own homes around Horsforth and takes them to Morrison's and brings them back again.
It's a blessing, the bus, though.
That's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Nice having it door to door.
John Hardcastle does most of the driving, and for the ladies out shopping, it is always something of a special occasion. On other days, there may be longer trips to local market towns, even as far as the coast.
Cut us out, will you?
To some people, Thursday mornings and all this noise is just noise, but to me, it's like music. For the old people to have somewhere to come where they can have a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, meet their friends and feel safe is really special. And I think it's like music hearing people talking. I'd love to see a facility like this in Horsforth every day, so that older people have somewhere to aim for, where they know there'll be a smiling face, and can meet their friends and have a chat and feel safe.
The daffodils are out along the ring road, where during the last few years over 10,000 bulbs have been planted. In 2004, the corner of Featherbank Lane and Regent Road has been planted and seats installed for people to sit and rest after shopping on New Roadside. No, this isn't a bit of al fresco carpet laying. It's actually Alan Gray and his friends creating a border outside the library as part of the preparations for Horsforth's entry into the Leeds in Bloom competition. At Woodside Roundabout, the approach roads are being widened and more signage erected. Just around the corner, a roundabout is being built to give access to the Cornmill development, the third roundabout in approximately 100 metres of road. Just up the road in the Woodside Methodist Church Hall, young people are disco dancing. But just about any night of the week, there's tap, ballet and line dancing going on in halls throughout the town. It all culminates in the 3-week-long Horsforth Competitive Festival of Music, Drama and Dance, held in St Margaret's Hall, starting on Easter Monday, and it was all established way back in 1943. Now these people, you might think, are not quite so light-footed. The rugby season is drawing to an end up at Yarnbury. It's a busy club with many junior and senior teams. Although the opposition scored a try, Yarnbury retaliated with 2 conversions. Easter came early this year, and on Good Friday a parade was held down Town Street to the Green, where a short service was held. This is an interdenominational service held by Horsforth churches together.
Four years ago I came to the Grove Church as minister, and on my very first day here we received the news that the planning authority in Leeds had turned down the plans for the redevelopment of the youth centre, and in January 2005 the Grove Centre was officially opened. I suppose too, looking back over 4 years, there have been a lot of things that I think were important initiatives. I must confess I was one of those who voted against having a town council, but having seen the way in which the town council once established has operated, they have made a great deal of difference in the township, and during this last year I think we have seen that Horsforth as a community has gained in strength, in confidence, and also has set itself to be once again the largest village in England. So it's with some sad feelings we leave Horsforth. Apart from being Minister of the Grove for 4 years, we've actually lived here for 24 years, so it's a big wrench to move away. But we look forward to new and exciting things in another town.
Traditionally, spring is a time for renewal. And what a year for change and renewal in the shops of Horsforth. Let's start off at the bottom of Town Street. Greenwood's men's tailors remained empty all year. The former post office opposite remained empty too, as it has done for the past 9 years. This was Potency, later in the year taken over as a second-hand bookshop. This shop remains a card shop, but has changed its name from Many Happy Returns to Hallmark. In January, the global video rental shop closed. It was replaced with a Sue Ryder charity shop. Oldham's next door moved from this side of the road to the other when Fulton's Frozen Food subdivided their store. In August, the Bradford and Bingley Building Society closed and was incorporated in Whittaker's Insurance, higher up as an agency. This electrical shop closed down and became a jeweller's. Slightly higher up, this cafe that closed in 2003 reopened as a Chinese tea house. Late in 2004, Dugdale's, formerly a sweet shop and latterly a bed linen shop, opened as a Chinese takeaway. Higher still, this double unit was a home interiors shop and was being turned back into 2 shops. At Lane Head, Peter Frederick's hair salon was refitted as Strands, who closed their salon on Regent Road. This shop on Broadgate Lane was a pet shop and became a computer repair shop. On Station Road, 2 shops changed. Wrapped was an estate agent's, and this one was a designer clothes shop. It's now a stationer's. If all this is making you confused, then on New Roadside there was a little less change. Near the top, Arthur Oates Tailors closed for a year or 2 and became so-and-so. Lower down, this shop became an optician's. And lower still, Baby Direct moved into one larger unit. One shop that closed its doors and will never reopen again was West End Stores on Hall Lane. It's now become a private house. Another closure on Hall Lane, this time in June, was the Horsforth Social Club. This happened due to falling membership. It is now proposed to demolish the premises and build 7 houses on the site. One place that you may not have visited is the Horsforth Day Centre. It's been here since 1962, when it opened as Tudale's School for Children with Learning Disabilities. It's now an adult training centre and has 135 users on its register, with around 80 people coming every day from all over Leeds and from beyond. A wide range of activities is run by the 38 specialist staff. It's all very sociable. Here they are line dancing. That includes those in wheelchairs. The term learning disability covers a very wide spectrum, from those with very mild learning disabilities to others with more complex behavioural and physical needs. The opportunities available mean everybody has a chance to find an activity that they can enjoy, whether it's swimming, hydro and rebound therapy, cooking or gardening. The staff are skilled and motivated to get all users involved, like this music group. Others are more artistic, like a Friday morning when a pottery class is held. Under the modernisation of Leeds social services, the centre is keen to develop partnerships with the local community. 4 of this group, boarding the minibus, will be dropped off at Park Lane College on Carverley Lane for art classes. The others are continuing on to Fagley, where they'll be going horse riding.
Well then, David, swing that. Oh, we nearly missed that. What did you do? Yours on there, Tony. Shall I? No, that's yours on that one. We can't put it on there, can we? That's yours on there.
To mark St George's Day, one patriotic resident always flies the flag. Meanwhile, the Scout, Cub and Beaver packs parade from the Park St Margaret's Church, led by the West Yorkshire Police Band.
Because I can meet up with my friends and play with them. In the park, I would like to see more play area things for my age.
Placards go up all over town for the general election held on the 5th of May. Did the incumbent MP Paul Truswell hold on to his seat for Labour against opposition from Conservatives and Liberal Democrats? Well, he did, with a slightly reduced majority. There was an impressive 66% turnout despite poor weather on polling day. As part of the weekend celebrations to mark the 60th anniversary of VE Day, the museum, on Saturday the 7th of May, hosted a wartime ration lunch. Meals served included Woolton pie, which was made wholly of vegetables.
Can you put that in the box and get 30p out?
Outside the old King's Arms, the Leeds Morris men were dancing their way along the Horsforth Mile, setting off at the Fleece and ending up at the Fox and Hounds. They raised over £150 for Martin House, Wheatfields and St Gemma's hospices. The following day, on the 8th of May, to coincide with VE Day, that's Victory in Europe Day, 60 years ago, a parade and party were held in the park.
She's going with the right.
It all started on the green with Alec Hodgkins laying a wreath at the Obrisha stone. This was erected in 2001 to mark the contribution that HMS Obrisha made during the war. The Horsforth connection? Well, the Royal Navy corvette was adopted by the town in 1941, when the equivalent in today's money of £5 million was raised. The corvette played a vital part in capturing an Enigma coding machine, and that led to the deciphering of top-secret messages being sent by Nazi High Command to the U-boats that were attacking Allied merchant shipping in the North Atlantic. From the green, the York Sea Cadet Band led the parade down Fink Hill. Wreaths were laid at the cenotaph, including one by the war veteran Bernard Freeman. The 77 World War II men and women of Horsforth were honoured on the memorial. The parade then entered the park for a formal service led by the Reverend David Hall on behalf of Horsforth Churches Together. Yes, I was there, but far more importantly, so were nearly 5,000 of you. The hymns were accompanied by the Horsforth Leeds City Band. The formal part of the day ended with the cutting of the VE Day cake by war veterans Alec Bernard and Eric Clay. It would have been nice to say, "Let the party commence," but instead it was the heavens which opened and there was a torrential downpour for most of the afternoon, just as there was for those original celebrations 60 years ago. Those lucky enough to be in St Margaret's Hall had a sing-along to all the old favourites, and they of course were completely oblivious to those outside trying to keep dry. And now for something completely different: wildlife. A £1 million animal management centre was opened at Park Lane College on Carverley Lane. This gives an opportunity for students to have hands-on experience of dealing with a whole range of animals, from the small and furry to man's best friend. Why, that's a nice haircut, sir.
Sniffing a mammal.
There are also scary animals and, well, just wild animals. No, I'm not talking about you, sir. That's more like it. The college also runs conservation and environmental courses, and it has a wild flower meadow and a pond ecosystem with reed beds. There are also commercial greenhouses for horticultural courses. On Saturday mornings, from September to May, Horsforth School turns into Horsforth Music Centre. This is the standard that the beginner's saxophone class has attained in just 8 months. Other classes range from music for 5-year-olds right through to a course for those who want to play in a full orchestra. Many events seem to happen in Horsforth without anybody knowing about them, apart from the participants, of course. The steam train passed through the former Carverley and Rodley station on Carverley Lane. And these runners on Hawksworth Road were in the 9th mile of the Leeds Half Marathon, just over 4 miles to the finish in front of the town hall. If you entered, and if you made it, and even if you didn't, well done.
I'm here at Yarmby today because this is where I like to go. I play rugby here for the under-17s and I come here every Sunday with my friends. And in Horsforth, me and my friend would probably like to see somewhere to go on a night really, and an entertainment complex in Horsforth, like with a cinema and a cafe or somewhere just to go on a night. Because we're too young to go to a pub, and so just somewhere to go really.
The sports theme continued with the 6th Horsforth Sports and Fun Day in mid-June. Everybody was invited to come and try activities staged by local clubs and organisations. Off this lot go for a race around the park. Meanwhile, on this racetrack, runners are trying for a personal best. There are also football competitions. Not quite Robin Hood perhaps, but there's a chance to have a go at archery. Others try out their cycling skills. Ow. As well as traditional games for juniors and infants.
Stop it moving! Don't let them move it! You're only team to finish in the young stage group. Very deserving of their medals.
Luckily they'd all just about ended before the rain set in for the finale, which was the egg throwing competition. A few weeks later though, and the weather was kind just for once for Horsforth Gala. Little difficulty with finding lorries for the floats meant a walking procession for the first time. But one advantage was that it gave all the onlookers the opportunity to get a good look at everybody in their costumes.
Goes to Westbrook Lane.
Would somebody like to take the cup and the check?
Thousands then turned up in the park to enjoy the entertainment, which ranged from the Leeds Pipe Band to a clown for the younger people.
What have you done to my magic wand? Oh, look at that, Benjamin. Oh, look at that. Oh, look, it's gone. Oh, don't laugh, it makes you feel all wobbly. And, can you get off the seat and make us a cup of tea? Oh, that's brilliant. No sugar, just a cup of tea. And while you're standing up, sweep up a bit, would you? Dust around. Brilliant, lovely. Right, now, where was I? We can't use that.
Local community groups such as the Town Council and Civic Society had stalls. There were, of course, rides, and where would we have been without the fair? Sadly, the future of the gala is now in doubt, as the organisers, Friends of Hall Park, need more volunteers to help out. Just 4 people planned this day, and look how many of you turned up. If only just a few people could give a little time and make sure this wonderful event is saved for future years. Ask many young children what they want to be when they grow up and they'll say a policeman. Well, the children from the Grove Preschool had the chance to try their ideas out when a police patrol car turned up. The youngsters could sit in the car and have a go with the siren. Or try out the handcuffs. Oh, this one seems to be a bit of trouble. Later in the park, the 5th Horsforth Brownies are having a go at cricket, and they're making an evening of it.
One of my favourite sports is hockey, and I like coming up to Sastra Turf to play on a Friday night for Leeds hockey team. And something I'd like to see would be somewhere where me and my friends could meet after school for a snack and a chat.
This year, the Horsforth Riding Club moved their gymkhanas to a field off West End Lane. 3 were held, with competitive events for novices to experienced riders. And that's one of the advantages of Horsforth. You can be in the open countryside 1 minute and in the centre of town the next. Woodside School has been part of the local community since 1852. In 1995, it amalgamated with St Margaret's School. But with the new school building now ready on Town Street, it will be large enough to accommodate the pupils on Low Lane, and the school will close. In July, they invited all former pupils and staff back to have one last look round.
Sat somewhere at the back there, and my school teacher was called Miss Poole.
And they all...
Some recorded their reminiscences with local historian Alan Cockcroft, himself a former pupil.
They would talk better here than a big school. When they went to the other school at Broadgate Lane from here...
The oldest pupil, though, was May Howarth, who started here in 1911.
8 o'clock. Yeah, started at 8 o'clock, yes, we were there for 8 o'clock. And then we finished, we're about 10:30. It would perhaps have a 5-minute break. You didn't have anything to eat, so not just a 5-minute break, you know. You stayed in your desk where you were, you didn't get up. You just stayed there on a 5-minute break. And then at lunchtime, lunch would be finish at 12. They finish at 12 o'clock, like they do now at schools. Finish at 12. And we then lived in Broadgate Lane, which was a good way to go across the fields to that school, you see. And there was nobody, there's no houses in the field at all like that, you know.
In those days, youngsters left school at 13. Today it's 16, and all these youngsters will graduate from Horsforth School. The School Parent Teachers Association has organised a farmers' market to raise funds for the school. Last year it was a washout, but with the sun shining, this year it's a great success.
This is my best side. Do you like ginger?
Raspberry and amaretto.
Oh, raspberry and amaretto. My wife will love that. I'll just get that. Yeah.
It's raspberry and amaretto.
It's all right. We wanted to buy some raspberry and amaretto. We already tasted it.
We tasted both.
Friends of Hall Park, formed in 1995 to help improve the park and its facilities, organise a series of band concerts throughout the summer. This is the James Farrell Concert Band in the bandstand, playing on a very hot Sunday afternoon. Ice cream sales were very high today. Many friends of Hall Park also help out with Horsforth in Bloom. 2005 was the second year the town had entered the Leeds in Bloom competition. Quite a task when neighbouring Guiseley and Otley have been in it for years. The judges come twice a year, in spring and summer, and they tour the town, not only to see the public displays, but those mounted by local residents as well. Central Chapel was singled out for praise. Flower gardens here have taken over 3 years to establish. But realistically, it's probably going to take several more years of effort to get Horsforth off the bottom rung of this competition. The schools are about to break up for the summer holidays. These are the last pupils to have been taught at Woodside School. To mark its closure, the Reverend Chris Puckrin has brought every child sweets. No wonder he's so popular. Although these pupils will move to the site on Town Street, the school will remain in education, The Options charity, which helps young people with autism, have bought the site. A Thanksgiving service was held in St James's Church, where an audio-visual quiz on the school had many parishioners stumped. And quite remarkably, in its 154-year history, there have been only 16 school teachers.
This is my favourite spot in Horsforth. The views are tremendous. You can see all over Horsforth, Cookridge, Pudsey and a large area of Leeds. I think it's the green areas in Horsforth, the park and all the farmland which form the backdrop to the town, which make Horsforth such a unique place and such a good environment in which to live. It's these green areas which I am desperate to preserve. It's wonderful to think that although we're only 20 minutes from the centre of Leeds, parts of the town retain such a nice village atmosphere, and you can feel that you're in the countryside while being only 10 minutes from home.
The hay is being taken off the fields along Scotland Lane and on Hunger Hills. In the fields along the A65, the combine harvester is reaping the corn. Whilst the straw is being baled on the fields along West End Lane for Springfield Farm. In the park, there's a local derby going on. It's Horsforth versus Horsforth, the Hall Park team versus the Horsforth Cricket Club team. Both teams like to jeer the other, but appropriately, the game ended in a draw. The town seems to have been targeted by the Leeds Highways Department this year. Over on King Edward Avenue and many other places around the town, the roads are being resurfaced. Curbs have been raised, old tarmac stripped off, and new tarmac laid. Two sets of pedestrian lights appeared on Fink Hill and Long Row. They are of course much needed, although the set on Long Row did take 5 months to become operational. They're all part of a traffic management scheme that's been in the offing for 2 years. What this seems to have entailed is the erection of 101, yes, 101 posts in the Town Street area telling us about the new parking restrictions. Do we really need all this street furniture? Another new development on the horizon is the proposal to build a light industrial park with 150 houses. The scheme is set for the former Wade's Mill site off Low Hall Road. The developers inform the public what they are up to by holding a public exhibition in St Margaret's Hall. Although the scheme will tidy up the derelict buildings, it could bring homeowners into conflict with what is essentially an industrial and commercial quarter in Horsforth. Another riverside scheme, this time across the river from Newley, is for the construction of 140 houses on the former Bradford Dyers Mill site. The works were demolished in 2002, and in July 2005, the site was sold off with full planning permission. Residents, though, are worried that people living here and working on the Horsforth side of the valley could end up parking in Newley. Further downstream, the 22-hectare Kirkstall Forge site will be redeveloped into a village of 1,385 houses, shops and commercial properties. The forge itself closed in 2003 after being in continuous use since the 15th century for iron production. The land itself stretches right round to Newley, although it will remain as Greenbelt and include a cycle track as part of the National Cycle Network that is supposed to run through Horsforth.
What I really like about Horsforth It is riding along the canal and feeding the ducks. What I'd like to see in Horsforth is a water park.
The highlight of the gardening year is the Horsforth Flower and Vegetable Show held on the first weekend in September. It's all very serious. A few snips here and there can mean all the difference between first and second prize. Perhaps it's the vegetable competitions which are the most hotly contested. Every gardener has their own secret for success. Ah, caught you having a sneak look. But one element of the competition is closed to the public, and that's the judging. The long-distance path around Leeds, the 60-mile Leeds country way, passes through Horsforth, and at the beginning of every September a relay race is held. Teams of 2 run one of 5 legs. The one passing through Horsforth goes from Thornbury to Golden Acre Park. The winning time is around 6.5 hours. The bowling season is also drawing to a close. This is Woodside's at their home ground on Low Lane versus Hare Hills. Over in Hall Park, friendly games are now being played. Nationally, Heritage Open Days give the public a chance to look behind the scenes of places not normally open to them. This year, the World War II Experience Centre off Town Street opened its doors, as did the Grove and the museum. Visitors got a chance to see some of the collection and also to hear from the centre's director, Dr. Peter Liddell, about the thousands of hours of interviews collected which will give an insight for future generations on how war touches every part of everybody's life in the community. A nautical theme provided the finale for the Grove, Scouts, Cubs, Beavers, Brownies and Rainbows gang show in the new Grove Centre. The music continued over in St Margaret's Hall, where a VJ Day homecoming concert was held. Chattanooga's provided the music, whilst Blitz Jive got everybody up and dancing. Teas were served by the Horsforth Women's Institute. In a more intimate setting, the Willow Singers held an afternoon concert to raise money for Marie Curie Cancer Care. The residents had a great time singing along some of their old favourite songs. Over in the park, a £45,000 grant was awarded by Leeds City Council to undertake a number of schemes. The first was the removal of laurel bushes to open up a previously enclosed area, and also to create a new herbaceous border. In the playground, an old climbing frame was removed and a new one installed. This was partly funded by the Friends of Hall Park. Last night was the first night these young people had spent in Horsforth. Maybe they're a little apprehensive, maybe even homesick, because some of them will have lived at home all their lives. But now they've come to college, to Trinity and All Saints on Branbury Lane. A busy week is about to start for them, but before all that, all 600 of them meet for the first time at the induction meeting. They're welcomed by the college's chaplain, the Reverend Peter Clark, and the principal, Mike Coughlin. There are around 2,200 full-time students at Trinity and All Saints, and they have a large impact on Horsforth. Local shopkeepers are always pleased to see them. The college also has a wide range of leisure facilities. These people are thinking of joining the college's basketball club. There's also a fitness room that is open to members of the community. After the summer recess, the Horsforth Forum's weekly series of lectures commenced, with local MP Paul Truswell facing a question and answer session. The forum meets every week during term time to hear speakers on a wide range of subjects, from international affairs to local issues. To prove that motorbikes can appeal to people of all ages, the Leeds branch of the Honda Goldwing Club gave an opportunity to members of the Horsforth Live at Home scheme to don their leathers and take up position on the Queen's seat. Although it has to be said that some did have a little trouble getting aboard. And be careful, some of these machines are worth up to £30,000. But the club also presented the prizes in a free raffle. The top prize, colour television. There are a good number of 70-plus-year-olds running the Kirkstall 10K. This saw the runners puffing their way up the long drag of the ring road and stopping for a drink on the top, before the long downhill finish along New Roadside back to Kirkstall Abbey.
This is one of my favourite spots in the Horsforth. It's good because, as a student at Trinity and All Saints, it's always good to get away from the hustle and bustle of life, to get away from the cars and the buses and the trains and lots of work and things like that. I suppose there are two things really that I'd like to see happen to Horsforth in the next 10 years or so. The first one would be an expansion of the current supermarket that we have on Town Street. The second thing would be, mainly from a student perspective, going to Trinity and All Saints, as a student ambassador, people always ask, what are the main links into Horsforth, or what are the main links into Leeds? And to be honest, the transport quality does vary. There is a regular train service that runs twice an hour, but the buses are a little less reliable, and trying to get into Horsforth on a busy weekday morning from Headingley or even further afield can be very taxing and very trivial at some times. So I think those are the two main things that I'd like to see happen to Horsforth in the next 10 years.
The leaves are beginning to turn, and the crop of autumn vegetables is being harvested at the Springfield allotments. An autumn fair is held in the Woodside Methodist Church Hall. This includes a fancy dress competition that is judged by the stall holders. Who's going to be the winner? Well, there could only be one, couldn't there? Not pleased at all by her instant stardom, is she? At St Margaret's Church, the Harvest Festival sees parishioners bringing produce to be distributed locally. After the service, the parishioners have a faith lunch in the hall. The next morning, some of the food which has been donated goes to the Caring for Life charity for vulnerable homeless people in Cookridge. Later that week, St Margaret's school children took part of their collection to Broadfields. They had to sing for the residents. The rebuilt school welcomed people from the community to have a look round. No more blackboards here, in fact just the opposite. These are interactive whiteboards linked to a computer. Although it's all very high-tech, the traditional curriculum is still being taught, learning about the Tudors in this class. Whilst in reception, they still have a chance to play outside on the new equipment. In 2002, the town council revived the tradition of the civic service that had lapsed in the 1960s when it was organised by Horsforth Urban District Council. This year the service was held at Woodside Methodist Chapel. The winner of the Horsforth 10K was Horsforth's Alistair Brownlee in just under 33.5 minutes. Although he comes from Horsforth, he actually runs for Bingley. Horsforth Harriers have held the race for the past 21 years in the town. Over the years, due to police concerns, the route has had to be changed. The race this year started and ended at Woodhouse Grove School. The route brought it down the A65, down Carverley Lane, across Carverley Bridge, before returning along the canal towpath.
Oh, well,
On the Clarion playing fields, St Margaret's junior teams are playing their matches, as are other local clubs up on King George's playing fields. Also, on that first Sunday in October, members of Horsforth Tennis Club, like on every other Sunday during the year, are playing friendly games on a turn-up-and-play basis. The club has around 90 members, and they've been at Throstlenest for over 100 years. Members play throughout the year, and last year won the doubles in the Yorkshire League. The tennis club's courts are floodlit, as are the AstroTurf pitches at Horsforth School, which are used by Leeds Hockey Club all year round for their training sessions. This is the ladies section, although the club has, of course, both men's and junior teams as well. We've seen an awful lot of exercise so far, so now let's take a look at the artistic side of Horsforth life. The Arts Society has a studio on Back Lane, where members meet midweek for practicals, whether it's drawing, painting or wood turning.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Just don't go like that. No.
In October, members' pictures are hung for the autumn exhibition. They hold a further exhibition in the spring, and during the summer months they pray for fine weather so they can display their paintings in the park.
What's the most amazing thing do you think you've seen?
There's a lot influenced by the two world wars, you can see. Made a very big impact. The two world wars. In fact, the First World War made a bigger impact than the Second World War.
Trinity and All Saints College is a Catholic foundation. The college was built in Horsforth as a teacher training facility in 1966. Its Catholic tradition is recognised every year on All Saints' Day, the 1st of November, when the Bishop of the Leeds Diocese, Arthur Roche, joins with the college's chaplain, Peter Clark. Although it is a Catholic foundation, the church on site welcomes people of all faiths and beliefs and has close links with St James's Church in Horsforth. On Remembrance Sunday, 2 short services are held. The first is at the War Memorial on Stanhope Drive. There is one tree along Stanhope Drive for every soldier killed in the First World War. They used to have brass nameplates at their base. The parade, organised by the Horsforth branch of the Royal British Legion, then marches to the cenotaph.
We'll remember them.
It's a sad time down at Troy Mills. The last link with Horsforth's textile past has now gone. Troy Mills was built as a woolen weaving mill in the early 19th century. The last cloth produced here was in 1982, when the mill was owned by Ackroyd's. In 1984, Xerxes took over the mill for the production of belts for the fashion industry as well as for the forces and corporate uniforms. The company is now moving to smaller premises in Meanwood. Most of the production latterly took place in the weaving shed, with the 4-storey mill being used for warehousing. Now, what are all these people up to? Well, you probably never knew they even existed. But this is the Horsforth Amateur Radio Club. They meet near Yarnbury Rugby Club and they broadcast worldwide, and they've been doing it since 1979. This month is special, as they're promoting 30 years of the Leeds Talking Paper. It's not actually a paper, but it's a monthly cassette of local news for blind people.
And they produce 2 magazines on tape.
But talking is much too modern for some of the members. They prefer to use the Morse code. When they make contact with people, a card is mailed out, and these cards have been received from South America, the Far East and Russia. One facility we can all enjoy is the rebuilding of the library. In fact, it will shortly move back into its original home, the Mechanics Institute. Over the past year, a 2-storey extension has been built at the rear. It's not due to open until early in 2006, but we can have a sneak preview around the new building. Although it seems large from the outside, the building has always had the problem of small rooms on the ground floor. But these have all been opened up now, with the library covering the whole of the newly extended ground floor. This room will be fitted out with a dozen computers, all linked to the internet. Another problem that has been solved is access to the upstairs ballroom. This has changed. The stairs remain, but a lift has also been installed. The lower ground floor will have the town council offices as well as a community room. So there you are, a new library, all at a cost of £1.2 million. But what about the old library building? Well, it's possibly going to house a local government department. Another community meeting venue opened back in 2003 when the old stable block behind the museum was converted into a resource centre. Tonight, John Bussey is giving a talk to the Historical Society about his lifetime ambition of travelling to Antarctica. It's not his first epic adventure since retiring. He's also walked from Land's End to John O'Groats.
Was in fact to do lifeboat drill.
This is my favourite place in Horsforth. Here is the Millennium Stone, raised by Horsforth Civic Society, recording that people have lived on this very spot for 1,000 years. Hopefully, in 1,000 years' time, people will see this stone and remember our generation. My hope for the future of Horsforth is that it remains an attractive place to live, that successive generations guard all that is worthwhile within our community, particularly the fine stone buildings, and hopefully not so much traffic in the road opposite. This is a pleasant place to live. Long may it remain so.
The whole month virtually is given over to the build-up to Christmas. 2 Horsforth choirs are rehearsing for their concerts. In the lower rooms of St Margaret's Hall, the Horsforth Choral Society is rehearsing. Horsforth Ladies Choir, established in the 1950s, meets down at the St James Centre, and they put on 2 concerts every year. The Christmas concert is held in conjunction with the full Drignington Brass Band. The lights have gone up on New Roadside, Town Street and around Station Road. Now we're just waiting for Father Christmas to turn on the tree lights on the green.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This really is a community occasion, with the choirs from St Mary's and the Trabelian School accompanied by choral society members giving a rousing rendition of Hark the Herald Angels Sing for Father Christmas to make his entrance.
Come on, Father Christmas. Thank you. Hello, boys and girls, mums and dads, grandmas and granddads.
And of course, Father Christmas has got to hand out sweets to all the children who've come to see him. Hang on, what about his sleigh and reindeers? He seems to be moving with the times and he's setting off in a stretched limo. In the schools this Christmas, the concerts are taking place. This one is at Westbrook Lane and it goes all the way through the ages. Carol concerts are also held in the churches, and outside Morrison's, St Margaret's School Choir is raising money for charity. After Christmas, the busy streets give way for just a few days to a little respite before the new year is ushered in.
Kids! Hey! Happy New Year!
So that's another year gone. So much has happened in the last 12 months. What will the new year have in store?
In the year 2004-05, I had the great privilege and honour of becoming Lord Mayor of Leeds. And during that time, people asked me which my favourite part of that year was. Well, it's impossible to select a particular section of that year. It was the whole year. That's the thing that made it so special. Same in Horsforth. I've been asked which my favourite area or place in Horsforth is. And quite frankly, I can't choose a single place because I live here, I work here, and I've represented the people of Horsforth for the last 15 years. However, there's one special place very near and dear to my heart, and that is at the end of the working day I can come here at the Fleece Hotel on New Roadside to relax and enjoy a pint. With that, cheers.